This is 95X Live.
Hey, it's Jack backstage at Paper Mill Island with the Head and the Heart and Tyler.
How's it going?
Here from the band. It's so great, and you know it's a little hot today, but you know at least it's not raining.
We were just in the southeast, so this is actually kind of like a nice break.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are traveling all over the country right now. You put out your latest album, Aperture, back in May, and it is a phenomenal record.
Oh,
it really is, and I do want to say here, at the risk of sounding like, you know, a really enthusiastic fan, I am a fan. I am genuinely a fan.
That's awesome.
I've traveled around with you guys, my wife and I. We saw you guys at Red Rocks a couple years ago. We saw you guys at Rendezvous Music Festival.
Oh, no way.
Wow. Last year.
Yeah.
And what was so cool about that show was the fact that it was the very first time you played Arrow.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like a snowstorm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was it was such an amazing vibe that night. So because you played Arrow that night for the first time, you know, what was that like, putting a new song out for the very first time? You said on stage that you had never performed that before for anyone. What's going through your mind when you play a new song for the first time?
Yeah, we had just recorded that like 3 days before we played it in Seattle. So we went from Seattle to Jackson Hole, and we were like, we have to play this song. It feels so good in the studio. And for me, I hadn't quite figured out where I was going with my drum. Like, I do a lot of stuff in that song on the drums, and I have to pick up tambourines and shakers and put down stuff and pick stuff back up. And I hadn't quite figured out how that process was going to go. So I was a little nervous about that, but I think we kind of nailed it. And as soon as the kick drum came in, the audience was like clapping along with us, and it felt really great.
Yeah, and I can say too, from experience being in the audience that night, as soon as you guys started playing, everyone was into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is classic Head and the Heart right here.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing I want to talk to you about too, because you guys actually posted this, and I've been following along on your social media throughout this whole tour, and just feeling the energy from you guys and how different this tour is. You guys posted the other night, feels like we're rediscovering what this band is and where we want to go this year. It feels new to us in a really good way.
Yeah.
Talk a little about that, because you've been through such a journey since the beginning in 2009 when you guys started up to this point. How is it different?
I think we're focused on our relationships more with each other. And I think, you know, you can get so caught up in the idea of like success or having a hit song or whatever it is that you like kind of forget that like you're actually all friends, you know, at the start of it. And I think we're focusing on that, and it's making the shows and like the energy of the shows just kind of take off. It's like a rocket a little bit. And I feel like everyone's so able to be vulnerable with each other that the performances are so much better. It's amazing to see. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that this record, Aperture, is entirely self-produced. I do want a little clarification on something, because I know your debut before you guys signed to Sub Pop, that was all done by you guys too.
Yeah.
And now you're back to this. So you guys went through this journey of, you know, starting out. I love your story of you're losing your phone.
Oh yeah.
The Sub Pop phone
cell
story.
phone saga. Yeah.
I love that whole saga.
Yeah.
So you guys get signed, and you have your first 2 records with them, and then you sign to someone else, and then you put out the next 3.
Yeah.
And now you're back doing it by yourself. You know, what was it like getting in the studio after having all this outside influence to now being able to create what you want? How did you guys decide what to do without having someone else guide you?
I think we intuitively know what to do as a band. And I think sometimes it takes a little bit of like work and talking to get to a good point with the music when you're in there creating. But if you work with a producer, you can kind of like, it kind of feels like shortcuts sometimes, and you don't have to like show your work. You know, like if you're doing like a math problem, your teacher's like, show your work. Like the producer is kind of like a calculator, where it just kind of like spits out an answer. And whether you decided it was the right answer or not, that's the answer that's getting put on your record. So you're sort of like, you kind of get into situations where like you love the music, but you don't even know like what all went into making it. And we wanted to get back to where each one of us knew every single note that was put on this record.
I think, to me, what's so interesting is I feel like we are in an era when it comes to making music and artistry that the artist has more creative freedom outside of, the traditional needing a record label
Yeah.
to do things.
Yeah.
It's almost like I don't know if this is a word, the democratization,
Totally.
if you will, of
Totally.
music. And I feel like you guys are really at the forefront of that. What is that
love
like
that.
for you?
I think it's all about sort of just believing in yourself, and trusting your vision. And I don't think we ever set out to be like the face of a movement or anything like that. But I think I think we have to do it this way for us. And we know how impactful it is when we feel so connected to the songs that we play. There's a magic in that only comes from these 6 people. And I think if every artist followed that and followed their heart, and I mean,
Followed your heart.
yeah,
Head in the heart.
not your head, So, yeah.
That's really cool, though. And you guys have done such a great job with the album. You
you.
said during we had a Q&A before we did this, and you said your favorite was
Jubilee, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Love that song. I can tell
Yeah.
that it's your favorite too, because it sounds like there's a lot of good drumming in it.
Yeah,
and
it's fast. It's a hard hitting song.
Yeah,
Energetic.
I would say "Time with My Sins"
Oh, yeah.
is my favorite on the
Good one.
album. And what I love about it's so funny because when you guys were doing your Q&A, someone asked about what your musical influences are, and I think Chris said that you guys were at some point on a tour bus playing DVDs of different artists, and you said 2 artists that I literally grew up listening to, and I now know why I'm a fan of The Head and the Heart.
There you go.
And the Eagles were mentioned, and U2.
Yeah.
Those are 2 of my favorite bands of all time, and
Yeah.
you would never guess that they're kind of in a similar vein, but for some
totally,
reason,
totally. And like Talking Heads as well, was in that conversation. It's like those 3 bands kind of like their stories were inspirational to us when we were like sort of like starting to break, just watching how they did it and how they handled everything. And I think that they're so influential for us, all 3 of those bands. So
Yeah. What's your favorite venue that you've ever performed?
Oh, ever?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, Red Rocks is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But then, there's this little amphitheater in Texas called like the Whitewater Amphitheater in New Braunfels. And you're right on the river. It's so beautiful. People are like floating the river behind you. They have a...
Kind of sounds like this venue.
kind of a little bit. Yeah, you're right. We love playing next to water. Anytime we can be next to water, that's great.
Next year, you guys are celebrating 10 years of Signs of Light.
Yeah, and 15 years of the first album.
And the first album,
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of milestones coming.
Yeah.
You just celebrated, was it 3 years of Every Shade of Blue?
Yeah.
Are you guys planning anything for Signs of Light? that
We've got plans for sure. We've got plans for like the whole year. I think it's going to be a really busy THAP year next year.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool.
Well, I just had a 2-year-old, or I have a 2-month-old son.
Yeah.
He was born in May. Couldn't
Congrats,
bring him to the show
congrats.
today. Thank you very much. It's been an amazing experience all the way around.
Yeah.
I told my wife many times, Head in the Heart's gonna be his first concert. So.
Whoa.
Not
Is he
this
coming
year,
tonight?
No, he's a little young now, but I think next year definitely.
Well, I think we have some plans for this area for next year, so
All right.
we'll get you in.
Living Mirage was the first whole album I was introduced to.
That's cool.
And a real special memory for me was when I was living in California for a while, and that spring when Living Mirage came out, I listened to that album, and I listened to it all the way back to New York.
Whoa.
Driving through the desert, driving through...
That's where we made it. I mean, the desert, that
yeah.
that album has such like a desert vibe imbued into it.
It does. It does. And so I guess I'll just end with this, is that I've always felt, just my experience listening to that album and what I was going through in my life at the time was a lot of change.
Yeah.
That album kind of got me through that. And I've been around other Head in the Heart fans. I feel like there's a similar story when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of sum it up to this. The Head in the Heart is a feeling. It really is.
I love that.
You guys, and I guess you could say a vibe too.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
more importantly, the head and the heart is a feeling that when you go to shows and you see people enjoying themselves at a head and the heart show, it's like no other concert experience.
Wow.
And I've been to a lot of concerts.
Yeah.
It's different and it's unique.
Yeah. I think we kind of feel that way on stage sometimes too. You know, there's this like reverence almost to what the crowd is like creating together. Like they're almost creating this feeling with us. You know, like I got goosebumps when you said that. So.
Well, I'll end there. Thank you so much for your
man.
time.
Thanks so much. Thanks for
I
being
really
here. Appreciate it.
appreciate you guys coming, and
Absolutely.
it's a pleasure.
Happy to be here.